welcome to the Lightbulb Moment webinar, everybody. I am really pleased that you are here. On the 4th of July, it's American Independence Day, and what a great day to launch my own independent webinar series. This is me. My name is Jo. Lovely to have you here. Let me share with you my webcam so that you can see I'm a real person, and I'm really looking forward to our very first session with you all today. And I've got a background in learning and development of about 20 years. I also studied as a journalist and work actually one day a week on Training Journal magazine, so some of you know that, and that's the latest issue that came out just yesterday. I think that landed on my doorstep. And also I've worked with a whole variety of different organisations, really small organisations, further and higher education, the charity sector, and also some multinational organisations such as CNN News, Turner Broadcasting, which is part of that whole Warner Brothers group, Bupa International Medical Insurance, and a few other things in between. First of all, in any webinar, we need to make sure that we can use our online tools appropriately and make sure that everybody's comfortable with them. And one of the easiest things we can do is use the feedback icon. So have a look at the very top of the screen, and what you should be able to see there is a picture of a person with their hand in the air. Can you go and click that? That person with their hand in the air. That's a really great way of just like grabbing attention. First of all, we can do like a hands up, who's had this experience. Brilliant. So loads of you have got that hand up. Also, you've seen if you click the arrow next to the hand up, you can click things like the green tick to say yes, I agree, or the red X to say, well, actually I disagree. So you can do any of those. Now, if you are on a mobile device, some of you are, you might not have all of the icons that we're looking at. We'll have to adjust a few things as we go along, but it looks like most of you have got that. It also implies interaction. It should be much more like a normal face-to-face classroom. That's what we're seeing here. Janet says it's people learning together at the same time. Yes, that's the live part, often called live online learning. That's another label we use. And Janet says, just not in the same place. Yeah, we're in the same room in cyberspace, but otherwise, no. What we're doing right now is a webinar similar to a virtual classroom. So I think they're different things. You know, if we look at the attendees pod over on the right hand side, we've got 24 of you here today. If we were doing a virtual classroom, I'd want 8 of you or 10 of you, certainly no more, because then you can get to know each other a bit more. So that's a virtual classroom. A webinar, it's got some of those similar things. A webinar usually, in my experience, is for more people. As I say, really important to make that distinction. Virtual classroom, I would say probably a maximum of 8 to 10 people is what you want in a virtual classroom. The reality might be a bit more, but if you're going to more than 10 people, you're actually getting much more into a webinar style delivery, because it's not so easy to have the one-to-one connection with people, have the conversation with everyone, and make sure you hear from everyone. And just things like space on whiteboards and things like that becomes a premium. What we're going to do is move on to our next section. And for this one, we're going to learn the annotation tools. So you can have a practice with the pen tool, with the text tool, with the square tool, or you might notice a little triangle and then you get stamp tools. So go and have a practice with any one of those that you like. You're doing great there. Looks like you are having great fun. So you can go and use any of those. If you're on a computer, you can use the stamp tool. And Mike says, good job all. Thank you very much, Mike. We've got lots of pictures. Yippee! People experimenting with the highlighter and all sorts of stuff. Brilliant, guys. The reason we're using this is because on the next slide, I'd like you to annotate your thoughts. This whole session is about, is the virtual classroom a friend or a foe to you? And that's what I want to ask you. So here we are, 2 smiley faces, one sad, one happy. Go and make a mark on the one that describes you. Now, obviously, I'm going to put a tick on the one that's happy because, you know, I'm talking about the virtual classroom. So you can go and do that. But if you prefer, put something where you think, actually, oh, somebody said they don't like the virtual classroom. They're maybe less happy about it. Or you might be in the middle there. Absolutely. So you can be in different ways. Okay, everyone. So we've got mostly people on the left that you're happy with the virtual classroom. You've got some people on the right who are saying we're not happy, some in the middle. And I really like this, that somebody's put my acquaintances, there's lots of them in the middle. That's certainly how I'm reading that. Thank you very much. Now, we're all in different places in our learning journey, and we need to look at some of the challenges that we've got. And for that, we're going to use the T-Text tool. So go and use the text tool, type on the whiteboard for us. So challenges. Top right, my lack of skill. Oh, I understand that. If you could see my first ever webinar and session, it was awful. But you're right, there's skills that we can learn, I promise. And that's what my whole company is all about. And that's what I love helping people to do. Engaging everybody equally, it can be a challenge. It can definitely be a challenge on a webinar where you've got lots of people. In a virtual classroom with less people, it should be easier, just like a classroom with less people, but still take that on board. Making a start, buying into a platform. Yeah, there's lots of different choices out there. And whilst we're not going to go into detail on that today, happy to answer any questions if we can. Connectivity issues, yeah, and somebody else put dodgy Wi-Fi as well, so Wi-Fi connections. They're all things that we can do our best to help with, but they can be a challenge. People getting distracted by business as usual around them. Yeah. Virtual presence versus physical presence. Yeah, a lot more has to come through on things like my voice, for instance. That's a really important point. And I can't see you, but that's why the interactivity is important. Now, one of the nice things with software is different software works in different ways. So for instance, what I can do is put the chat window over here and make the question pod really big. But maybe you might be going, oh my gosh, what's going on? Don't worry. I'm just going to put it back now. I'm not going to do that to you too much. That's one of the things we can do in Adobe Connect. Other software is different. It has amazing stuff it can do that Adobe Connect can't do, and other detail. So it's really important we know our software and we design for the interactivity of that software, our online delivery skills, and thinking about what is it that we can do to enhance our skills. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you a question about this, and I'd like you to answer using the poll. So let me resize that a bit so hopefully you can see that question. Now, do you think delivery online in a webinar or maybe a virtual classroom, is it a completely brand spanking new skill set? Or do you think, well, yeah, you do need some new skills? Or do you go, nah, it's just training. How hard can it be? So let us know which one you think. Okay, so let me broadcast these results. Let me share those with you. So most of you are saying certainly new skills needed. Some of you are going, yes, totally. And one of you are saying, nah, it's just training. I think you've got some great points here. And the way I look at this, certainly myself, is actually it really is about adding to the skills that we've got. It's about forging new skills. See what I did there? Forging new skills. We're using technology, which might be newer to some of us. We're delivering information perhaps in new ways, learning things in new ways. So it's all about forging new skills. It's also, though, about making sure you're using the skills that you've got. All of those face-to-face delivery, training, seminar skills. Thank you for the smiley face, Mark Gilroy. It's about using those skills, those learning and development skills, class management, all of those things you need online as well. We've talked about the different skills, how you're going to learn them, how important it is that you have your current skill set as well as forging new skills. So let's ask one more time. Virtual classroom, friend or foe? Where are you at? Let's use those annotation tools, whichever annotation tool you like. You've got the stamp tools, the tick tools, the writing tools, whichever one you want to go and choose. A great big tick there. It's like a smiley face tick. Somebody's written on there, just want to get started. Oh, I'm so glad I could make you enthused about that. And I just want to have a go now. That's brilliant news. What's your light bulb moment from today? Experiencing an inclusive event and feeling the enthusiasm. And hopefully you felt that enthusiasm from me, because you know I'm enthusiastic about it, but also from other people as well. Let's whiz through this whiteboard. Helpful distinction between virtual classrooms, e-learning and webinars. Brilliant. The benefits of Adobe Connect. The facilitator makes all the difference. Yeah, you really need someone who is breathing life into what they're doing. Adding a blend to the learner's experience. Seeing the amount of interactivity built into this webinar has challenged my thinking about what good looks like. Very polished and inclusive. That's lovely, lovely feedback. So you're on your learning journey, wherever you might be. We've got some things that we can help you with. Obviously, you've got that Facebook group that we highlighted. And what we're launching later on in the year, we're working on it right now. We'd love to see if you're interested in finding out a bit more information, is our continuous professional development mentoring webinars. So if you are, just click on the link that Mike is sharing with you. You can just let us know your name and email address, and we'll let you know more details when it's coming, how much it's going to cost, how often it's going to be. But basically, we're looking at doing a little bit like this, a little bit longer, a little bit more time to practice, get that confidence, share ideas with each other, have a verbal chat as well. So we're going to be launching that later in the year. But thank you so much for coming along. Really appreciated all of your time, everything that you've done with